Ever since the DPDPA came into play, India's data world has really started to change. For the longest time, data processors were working quietly in the background, doing what data fiduciaries told them to do. If a business collected your data, the processor just processed it. No one really asked, hey, did this user actually give consent for this? Or is this even legal? It was like a digital free for all. Things were growing fast, data was flowing everywhere. And honestly, no one stopped to check if any of it was being done the right way. Now, DPDPA comes in and says, enough, let's bring some structure here. It tries to fix the mess by saying, you can't just collect and process data blindly anymore. Both data fiduciaries and data processors now have to validate consent before doing anything with the user's data. And that's a big change. It means processors can't just hide behind the client told me it's fine excuse anymore. They need to actually make sure consent exists. So far, so good, right? But here's where things start getting a little strange. Now, some of India's biggest data processors want to become consent managers. On paper, that sounds kind of harmless. But if you think about it, it's a massive conflict of interest. See, a consent manager is supposed to be like your personal bodyguard in the digital world. They exist to protect you. The user, the data principal. They are meant to make sure you actually know what you're agreeing to, that you can revoke consent when you want, and that your data isn't being misused. They're supposed to be on your side. But a data processor, they're on the fiduciary side, the company side. They're hired, paid, and managed by businesses who want to collect and use your data. Their goal is to make data flow smoother, faster, cheaper, not necessarily safer. So, if the same entity starts acting as both, a processor and a consent manager, who are they really working for? Because they can't serve both sides. It's like asking a referee to also play for one of the teams. You can imagine how that goes. The moment a processor becomes a consent manager, they get to validate their own permissions, basically marking their own exam papers. And that's exactly what DPDPA was trying to stop in the first place. Now think about it from a user's point of view. You might not even realize that your consent is being managed by a company whose main business is processing your data. That's not transparency. That's confusion wrapped in convenience. The law's whole idea was to give people data swamitva, ownership over their own data. That means the power to say yes, no, or not anymore. A consent manager is supposed to stand between you and the business, not merge with it. Because consent isn't just a checkbox. It's actually a small legal agreement, a micro data contract between you and the company. And the consent manager's job is to make sure you understand it, that you're informed, and that your choice is respected. Once that consent is given, the consent manager becomes your voice, your digital representative. And no matter how efficient or powerful a processor is, it can't play that role, honestly. It's just not designed for that. So yes, processors can and should build great tools to help businesses handle consent better, but being an actual consent manager, one that's supposed to represent the user, that's a completely different thing. Because if we blur that line, we'll end up back where we started. A world where users are once again in the dark, and the same entities that process our data are the ones protecting it. And that's not progress. That's just privacy theater. Let me know your thoughts in command and maybe which topic I should speak next. And remember, consent